and doing the things you know you can do. Now, we don't see this clubhouse divider with a stage on top and an audience down below. No, 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 no. Instead, we look at this as the world's largest breakfast table. It's full of motivation, education, inspiration, and even a friendly competition with the positive intention of pushing your momentum in the right direction. Now, listen. If you ever miss a segment, you can go download the Who You Know Show podcast, subscribe, and listen anytime. So head on over to whoyouknow.show, grab the link, and subscribe. And I'm super pumped and excited because today joining us is Ursula Mentjes, a best-selling author, CEO, and business strategist renowned for her expertise in driving business growth and success. With a proven track record of helping entrepreneurs double their monthly revenue in as little as 30 days, Ursula is going to share some actionable insights and strategies to break through revenue plateaus and achieve exponential growth. So good morning, Ursula. How are you today?
Good morning, Trevor Houston from Dallas. I'm doing well. I'm super excited to hang out with you today and everyone that's sitting around this amazing breakfast table and everyone who's listening to this later. So thanks for having me on the show.
I love it. Absolutely. It's Winning Wednesday. Okay, so I want to dive into your story, your background just a little bit. Let's take us back into the world of business coaching. How did you get into that? How did you start helping entrepreneurs? And then where did the focus shift into helping them double their monthly revenue? I love that because, hey, who wouldn't want that, you know?
Yeah. So I'm a farm kid, believe it or not. People don't believe that. I mean, they meet me, years of work have gone into this project right here. But I grew up on a farm in southern Minnesota and I had a very interesting childhood. Trevor and I talked about interesting childhoods. And so it prepared me in a way that allowed me to have amazing resilience. We'll say that. And one thing my parents did both want for me is to go to college. Neither one of them had gone to college. They said, go to college, get a good job. So I said, all right. So I found the closest school that I could to the farm, which was a little school called St. Olaf, which no one outside of Minnesota has heard of. It's a little Lutheran college. And I majored in psychology and communication, which I could do absolutely nothing with, Trevor. So I feel the job seekers out there. No one said, hey, go get a job or get a degree in psychology and communication. You'll be set for life. No. So I get done and I'm working at Pier 1 Imports making $6.25 an hour. And I just thought, what's going to happen? What's going to go on? And part of me wanted to go to law school. There was a part of me that thought I could see myself having my own thing, didn't have the money, didn't know how I would do it. But here's how God and the universe works, right? I just said, you know what? Please show me a different path. I am up for this. I want to serve people. I want to figure this out. So one day my friend Jana came to me. We were working at Pier 1. She goes, hey, Urs, that's what she calls me. Hey, Urs, I have an opportunity for us. And my favorite word in that sentence was us, not even opportunity. It was us. I was like, Jana, do tell. And she said, listen, my aunt and uncle just sold their company to IBM for $10 million.
Say what?
What? And they live in the foothills of Boulder, Colorado. She said, there is a Pier 1 Imports there. And I already called the head. Jana was the friend that you really wanted to have. She's like, I already called the head and they have a job for us there. So we can be transferred from Minnesota to Southern Colorado, Boulder area, and we could work there. And we can live with my aunt and uncle for free. I mean, when does that? I know. So, for a moment, I could have sort of disqualified myself because I had a lot of unworthiness and crap from my childhood, right? Like many of us do. But instead I said, no, yes, Jana.
Yes.
So the two of us moved to Colorado, started working there, and I met her aunt and uncle. And here's the thing, Trevor. And I know I've had you on my show. I know that you didn't come from a lot of money. So it was I stepped into a different world. And not only did it blow up all my limiting beliefs about money, it blew up all my limiting beliefs about people with money. Ooh. Because I met Jana's aunt and uncle and they were the kindest, most incredible people I'd ever met. And her uncle sat me down one day, and this is where the fork in the road happened. You asked me this question, how did I get here? He sat me down one day and he's like, Ursula, what are your plans? And I looked at him, I thought, what's the right answer? Because I really didn't know. But I said, I think I might want to go to law school. And, that's kind of all I can see right now. Trevor, he didn't miss a beat. He looked at me and he said, Carol and I would be happy to pay for that for you.
Mm.
And there was nothing in this Lutheran kid, this farm kid from southern Minnesota who could have accepted a gift like that. And I said, thank you for offering that. I couldn't accept that gift. He goes, I get it. May I offer you some advice? Trevor, like, when do we sit around tables with multimillionaires, except at the breakfast table here, where someone offers you advice? And I said, yes, please. I need some advice. And he said, and I'll never forget this. This was the game changer for me. He said, Ursula, get a job in outside sales and you can do anything. He said, you could pay for your own education. He said, you could have your own company someday. And I said, I don't know how to do that. He said, listen, update your resume, send it to me. I'll send it to some people I know. But here's how the universe works. I went home, got my resume updated. I was going to send it to Will, but I had to go to work that day. I go to work. I'm working at Pier 1 Imports. I'll never forget this. This woman comes through wearing a really nice business suit. Her name is Christine. She introduces herself to me. She's like, what are you doing in Colorado? I'm like, well, and this is where I said it out loud. This is for your job seeker. So I said, I'm looking for a job in outside sales. Okay. I said it. I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know if I was going to be outside. Like, do I work outside? I didn't know. She goes, well, listen, she said, tell me a little bit about yourself. So I told her about myself and she said, we're hiring. Do you want to interview? Now, again, I could have disqualified myself. I'm a psych major. I said, what kind of company do you work for? She said, computer training and consulting. I could barely get around a computer, right? I'm like, I can't do that. But there was something in me that said, shh, I said instead, I'd love to interview. Yeah.
Okay. I want to unpack something here because this is so good for the audience. Okay. So, and I'm going to quote Rachel Duncan Miller. Okay. She says, an invitation is a indication of a qualification.
Ooh.
Right. So when she said that, I was like, man, that's that mic drop moment, right? So I'm going to say that again. A invitation is an indication of a qualification. So when you got that invite, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's somebody seeing something in you. And oftentimes, we discount that. We don't know our own potential. We don't know our own gifts a lot of times. Our gifts are lying dormant within us and we're not activating them. We're not working them out. We're not exercising them. No. We're exercising something else that, the world has put in our path. Like a lot of times people go to college for something that's not really their gift and it's not going to fulfill them. And they're doing something that they're going to be miserable in their entire life. And so they're exercising the wrong muscles, right? And so in this scenario, somebody saw something in you, spoke that out and activated it, and you accepted it. You said, okay, yes.
I did. I said, yes, I'll interview. And I was scared out of my pants. I was so scared. I didn't know, what was going to happen. So I go in and I interview, and it was to this day, it's one of my favorite interviews. It was these guys. They happened to be Canadian. So shout out to all my Canadian friends, because they used to say, Ursula, you were born in the wrong country. And I said, why? And they're like, women are so much more successful in Canada. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. So I had these amazing mentors. They hired me right away. And then Trevor, first day on the job. Okay. First day on the job. This is outside sales. Maybe this is outside sales back in the day. I don't know, but this is outside sales. Your job, Ursula, is to make 100 cold calls to IT directors every single day, put it on a tick sheet before you go home and hand it in. Okay. That was my job. So I start this new job. I'm so excited. And, they train me on what to say and they give me a script and everything. And I pick up the phone and I make my first sales call. And Trevor, what am I praying? All my salespeople know this. What am I praying?
I don't know. What you praying? Please don't answer the phone.
Outside sales. I was praying, please don't answer.
Yeah, please don't answer. That's right.
I don't think anybody answered that day. And I went home and I thought, this is the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. What was I thinking? But then there's that part of me. This is the resilience. This is where, if you had an interesting childhood, this is where it pays off. I was like, I am not giving up. I need this job. I need this money. So I went out and bought every book I could on sales and selling, from Brian Tracy's The Psychology of Selling, still one of my favorites, to Jeffrey Gitomer, When I Needed to Be Yelled At. I love his books. And then Zig Ziglar, to stay motivated. And then I found a book by the now late Dr. Wayne Dyer called The Power of Intention. Trevor, that book changed my life, because here's what happened. I went back to work that day and I was like, doesn't make any sense to me to make 100 cold calls every day if I don't get an appointment. Like, what's the sense in that? Like, we were incented to just pound the phones, right? That was the thing. And they kept saying, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game, Ursula. And I was like, I think we're counting the wrong numbers, because what I really need are appointments, not phone calls. And so I started to shift it. Instead of 100 cold calls every day, it was 25 max. This was my contest with myself. I wanted to make the least amount of cold calls to get 2 appointments. Got me? Because 2 appointments every day, Trevor, is 10 appointments a week. That's 40 appointments a month. And if you're doing 40 appointments in outside sales every single month, you're going to kill it.
You're good. Yeah, that's the formula. 2 a day, every day, right? That's the formula. I know this formula. Absolutely.
So that's what I did. And here's the funny part. I went to meet with my sales manager, Jeff, not my shout out to Jeff. Like, Jeff, wherever you are, I hope you're doing awesome. But Jeff said to me, Ursula, that's not your job. 25 calls a day. That's not your job. Your job is 100 calls a day. And I said, Jeff, my job is 2 appointments a day. That's 10 a week. That's 40 a month. That's really, anyway, we disagreed. We agreed to disagree. And within a few months, I was relocated outside of that office. I was promoted. I took on the Colorado Springs branch. And the long and short of it is I grew that branch from losing a lot of money to doing $83,333 a month approximately, which is $1 million branch. I was promoted again after a year. And I'm sharing this not to say, look at me. I'm sharing this because a farm kid from southern Minnesota who had an interesting childhood can figure this out. Anybody can learn how to sell.
Well, I want to touch on that real quick, if you don't mind. I want to touch on that. So, okay. Why do you think so many people are afraid of sales?
Yeah, because we're afraid of rejection.
You think it's the rejection?
Oh, I mean, for me, it was. For a lot of people I work with. Like, if we personalize the sales process, if we make it about us, you'll never last. You just won't.
No, that's a good point. I always thought, rejection, that's such a good one, because I didn't really even think of that. I always thought it was just not having this steady stream of income, right? Like that guaranteed paycheck from corporate America, right? Like, that salary, right? Like, that's what I thought it was, that which I feel like a salary is a ceiling. In my opinion, it's a ceiling. And they got you captured, right? You're never going to go higher than they allow you to go. Right. And in sales, I'm the gatekeeper, right? I can go as high as I want. So that's the way I viewed it. But you're so right. I never really thought about the rejection piece of it. And the reason I'm asking this question is because I got into sales super early on, like very, very, very early. I got into it when I was 19 years old. And so I just kind of learned that, you know what, this is a good thing. Right? This is a really, really good thing. Sales can be an amazing career. So anyways, I thought I'd ask you that question.
Well, and let's qualify it first. Like, it's a certain personality type that's ever even going to step into the world of sales. So you and I and all the people on this call who are entrepreneurs or in sales, we're kind of a different breed. Like, if you look at the DISC assessment, which maybe is kind of dated, but DISC assessment, most of the salespeople, we would be I's on the DISC assessment, or DI's, meaning we're drivers, we're inspirational. Like, you have a podcast, like, you're a natural salesperson, right? So for a lot of us, like, we love, there's something we love about the sales process. We like helping people. We like solving problems. That's already there. From there, once we're kind of in it, then it's like those who can overcome that fear of rejection, who don't make it personal. Like, if you can get out of making it about you and make it about serving the person that's in front of you. Can I solve a problem that you need? If I could make it about them,
let's go.
Then that's when everything changed for me.
So, okay, let's dive into that too, because I want to say this. Like, I feel blessed that it just, my path led me into sales early. Yeah. Okay. Because had I got into a corporate environment and started doing it a different direction, I don't know if I would have been. I see in my belief, I think that it's a skill that is learned, right? And like, it's something that you teach people how to work that muscle out. I think it's a skill that's learned. And I think that, again, I was, just kind of blessed that I kind of fell into that very, very early on. And I think also if people have a bad experience in sales, right? Let's say your very first experience was awful. Okay. You're going to be like, nope, never doing sales again. Yeah. And the way I look at it is life is sales, right? Everyday life is sales. You've got to be able to communicate. It's just communication. And if you can communicate to get what you want in life, right? Like if you want to get married, you got to convince your wife to marry you. You know what I mean? It's sales. Like everything is sales. So I just feel like too many people, because I feel like they've either had a bad sales experience, maybe they met a bad sales guy, like that used car greasy sales guy who's like, slimy, right? And that's the way they view sales.
Sure, yeah.
Why does sales get a bad rap? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of, you're pointing out,
there's some shady folks out there.
What's that?
There's some shady folks out there.
Yeah, in everything, right? And there's definitely limited, like we have preconceived notions about what salespeople are. And to your point, if you've had a bad experience, you're going to take that with you. In fact, what I find is that for the clients that I work with, whether it's a salesperson or an entrepreneur, whatever their number one limiting belief is about salespeople, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, so let's say it's that salespeople are greedy. I hear that one a lot. And I don't want to be perceived as being greedy. If that's your limiting belief, you're going to stop at some key places in the sales process. One, you might not even pick up the phone. But second, this is where a lot of people don't ask for the money. Or they get to the end of a sales meeting and they're like, listen, Trevor, if you like this, you want this thing that I'm selling, give me a call. Guess what? Trevor's never going to call you.
No.
The next step on the calendar. We have just killed that sale, right? And what we've killed is really the opportunity for Trevor to make a shift in his personal or professional life, because it's about Trevor. It's not about me. But that limiting belief of salespeople are greedy, it's going to stop you.
This is good. This is so good. I got somebody in mind literally right now that I'm mentoring, and she does a phenomenal job. She does such an excellent job. She's so active, gets all out and doing all this networking, getting out there in the community, building relationships, getting out there speaking. Like she does that all so well up to the point of sale. Yeah. Right? She doesn't want to ask for the business.
Right.
Right? She adds so much value. And I'm like, listen, we got to break that, because 100% of your income is depending on your ability to close the sale. Right? So all of that work that you did to get to that point, if you can't do that part, you're not, that was all a waste. And so I got to break that. And so what are some tips or some things that you would do to help someone like that is like really good? They add all the value, because I think she's earned the right to ask for the business. In my opinion, if you've done it right, all of that activity, you've earned the right to ask for the business. How do we break that limiting belief?
Well, first of all, just in the little bit you've shared with me about her, she sounds amazing.
She is amazing.
And here's my guess, is that her clients that do get to work with her are so blessed and they love working with her. And so it actually it becomes a disservice, because guess what? They're going to go buy from somebody else instead of her. So that breaks my heart for her, because she's meant to serve them. She's meant to be like their salesperson for whatever it is that she does. So here's the shift. And I wrote a whole book about this. You don't have to get the book. I'm going to, like, if you feel called to get the book, go for it. It's on Amazon. But this is my hack for shifting limiting belief. Okay. So years ago, 2005, I was certified in NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. I love NLP. One of my favorite things that came out of it is how to shift a belief. Over the years, I've just like fine-tune. So if this seems short, like a short version, it is. It's also super powerful. So Trevor, this amazing woman, what would you say her number one limiting belief is? And then I'll take you through the process. And for everyone else, play along at home. Like, think of your number one limiting belief when it comes to sales. So go ahead. What do you think hers is?
That's a really good question. I mean, I'm thinking of this scenario where she just is not asking for the business. So maybe it's, I'm not enough. I haven't done enough, right? Like I haven't, like, again, and that's why she does so much in the front. Maybe it's because she feels like she's not enough or not worthy of the business. I don't know. That's a great question, but let's just say it's that.
Okay, and we can't speak for her. So, right,
Correct.
we're just guessing. So let's
Yeah, I'm
say I
guessing.
hear this one a lot. So I'm not enough. Like I'm kind of not qualified. I'm not the one that should be selling it, or like somebody else has more experience than me. Like what subconscious mind does is make up a story to keep us safe.
Mm.
Because subconscious mind is like, we don't want to get eaten by the tiger. We don't want to be run over by the car, right? Like it's trying to keep us safe. It's also saying we don't want to be rejected, like that. And ultimately, what does that mean? Like if you go down to the bare bones of that, that means I don't want to be thrown out of my community. Ultimately, we haven't, survival is kicking in. I want to belong. Okay. Deeply rooted. So for those of us who are dealing with it or have dealt with this, no, this is deeply rooted. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just something this is just your subconscious trying to keep you safe. Okay. So here's what we do, whether it's this belief or something else. So we look at this belief, I'm not enough. So Trevor, you're going to play along. I want you to believe for a second, this is your limiting belief.
Okay. All right.
Question. Okay. Everyone else play along at home. So Trevor, what are 3 things that are potentially not true about the belief that you are not enough? So what's not true about that, and that you're not qualified to sell to whoever?
What's not true about that belief?
Yeah.
Well, I've studied. Okay. So I know what I'm talking about. Let's see. I am worthy.
How do you know?
Because I'm Trevor freaking Houston. That's how I know. Okay. I'm worthy of it.
Like what tangible things do you have that you know that you're worthy, or what's there that shows you're worthy?
My qualifications. Okay. My qualifications. And let's see, what would the third one be? What would the third one be? And I'm literally, this is kind of tough because I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, right?
That's why it's so great. Yeah, I get it.
I'm trying to pretend here, like I'm like we're role playing, okay? And I've practiced. I've practiced.
You practiced.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come up with a 4th one here, which I think is one that could be helpful for everybody. Is I have evidence. I have evidence from other clients.
Ooh. Yeah, my referrals, my recommendations, my endorsements, my testimonials, right? Yes. I've got evidence. I like that. Yeah. That's good. Okay.
So this subconscious mind loves evidence. It loves to see evidence as well. So already what I find is when I do this work with clients, already just coming up with these 3 or 4 things starts to shift that story and the belief. It's like, well, maybe that's not true. Maybe I am enough. And if I am enough, then what? If I am enough, I'm more than qualified to serve these clients. If I am enough, I can stay in the conversation and ask for the next step. I can offer them. We haven't even talked about that yet, but I just want to say this. Most people in a sales conversation will sell themselves if given the opportunity, and Trevor, you know this, and given the space to talk. I'm a big believer that I could ask someone one open-ended question and just let them share. And within a certain amount of time, they'd be like, how do you work with your clients? Like they would want, like, it's just energy, it's just holding space for people. So in this case, like these are the 3 or 4 things, right? So then from there, we want to move to a new belief, Trevor. So if you could believe anything, and I'm gonna give you the belief that we created for our clients just because it's a great one. It overrides everything else. But what we're looking for is, what would you rather believe instead? So what's the opposite belief? So here's the new belief that everyone gets. And this could be great for whether you own a company or you're looking for a new job. I am, and we like to start belief statements with I am because they're 2 of the most powerful words in the English language. Your subconscious mind, get this, believes whatever you say after that. So if you're walking around saying I am negative words, your subconscious mind is like, okay, you are. If you're walking around saying I am phenomenal at closing sales, I am phenomenal at serving my clients, I am, fill in the blank, that's what your subconscious mind hears. So in this
I believe that too. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why the creator of it all said I am the I am, right? That's so powerful. I mean, the I am statements, it's powerful.
Yes.
Like, anyway, go ahead. So I believe what you're talking about.
No, for sure. Like if you in the Bible it talks about this, I am. So I am, and this is the rest of the sentence. It might not sound as I'm saying this, it sounds very simple. Sometimes in its simplicity is what's powerful, right? So I am a professionally persistent problem solver. I like the alliteration because it's easy to remember. I am a professionally persistent problem solver, because when you move out of the idea that, oh, I'm just picking up the phone and bothering people, blah, 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 you move out of that. When I believe, like, think about that, Trevor. Like, think about how being a professionally persistent problem solver, you can show up with that energy anywhere, whether it's with your clients, whether it's, at your kids' baseball game, whatever. It shifts you into a leadership role, a leadership energy, and sales start to shift. Like our clients who do like this one simple exercise, for those of you who are listening, you can just blast your limiting beliefs out and show up as that professionally persistent problem solver who's ready to do that.
Well, I like that. I like the professionally persistent, and I want to dive into that here in just a second. Okay. I like the word persistent, professionally persistent, because there is a difference between, professionally, pursuing to get that thing across the finish line to help them solve that problem, and being a pest. Okay. And I'll dive into that in just a second.
Yeah.
Because there's a line there. But what I was thinking, what I want to rewind just a little bit, and what you were talking about with the woman that I'm mentoring. I was thinking about her and what you said about having evidence. I really, really like that, because here's a tangible step that I can provide to her. Thank you for sharing this with me, because I'm gonna tell her to do this. So all of those clients that she does have, right? Because she's new in the industry, new in the business, but she's done some business, and she needs to go back to those folks and reach out to them, tell them how much she appreciates them and appreciates their business and their trust and all that good stuff, right? And then ask them for a testimonial. Ask them for why they did business with her. What was it about her that they chose to work with her? What was it about her? And what that'll do is it's going to reinforce for her, when she starts to see those floods of testimonials, it's going to reinforce her confidence, number one. And to your point, it's going to give her that proof, that social proof that you are worthy, you are enough. And when you read what other people say about you, right, it just fills you up. And so I think that's a great tangible step or tip that you kind of brought and shine some light on. So thank you for that. I'm going to tell her to do that. You think that's a good step?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anytime.
Okay.
I mean, for all of us, there are days when I have to remember why I'm in the business that I'm in, right? We all have tough days. And I just go back and I read client testimonials, and and like you see the difference you've made in someone's life. It's like, that is why I do this. All the other stuff, the noise, the garbage, doesn't mean a thing. It's about the difference, the impact that we're here to make. And when you focus on that, money doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's the impact.
The impact. So, okay, that's great. I'm gonna tell her to do that. Okay. Now I want to dive back. I want to go back into the professionally persistent problem solver, right? I want to dive into that, because I recently had an experience with a salesperson who was too persistent and absolutely drove me insane. Now, he did get the job done. But it pissed me off at the same time. I'm not going to lie. I got angry. Like, I was like, dude, you cannot call me 2 times a day, and you can't email me and text me and do this every single day. I'm like, it's too much. I told him, I'm like, hey man, you need to calm it down a little bit. I am going to get it done. We're going to get it across the finish line. Okay. I appreciate your follow-up. I appreciate all of that. But like, don't call me or text me again, please. Yeah. Right. It was just too much. So where's that line? Okay.
Guy. Really, okay, listen. All right. So remember when I was talking about the DISC assessment, there's the D and the I. Like, you probably are, both of you and I are kind of fall in the space of the I, which is kind of it's inspiring. We can sell things, etc. a little bit of the D, which is the driver in us. Like we both, I'm guessing you and I are similar in that space. My guess, and this is just a guess, would be your salesperson, God bless him, is probably a high D. He's a driver. He is a driver, and he is going to call you until you either say yes or go away. Like that is how he's programmed. And while it's annoying to you, I totally feel you, and not your style, I do think I heard you say you did buy from him. Is that accurate?
I told him, do not call me again, because he literally pushed,
okay.
Hold on. So he pushed the line. I had to tell him, and he still, when I tell you, you've crossed the line and you keep crossing the line, now we have an issue, right? And so I told him, hey, I'm going to get it across the finish line, but I do not want you to call me again. If you call me again, like we're done. And so I told him that.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I get a manager call, right? And the manager call was saying, hey, we understand you wanted to cancel your account and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, this is it seemed like a tactic to me. I'm like, okay, I didn't tell him to cancel my account. It's kind of like taking it away from you, right?
Sure. Takeaway code.
Yeah, the takeaway, right? They're like, yeah, we understand you want to close your account, but before we do, we just want to make sure, everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to talk to the manager, and I said, listen, man, this guy, he's been great in a lot of areas, but man, when I told him don't cross that line, he keeps pushing. He's pushing. I'm like, dude, but yes, they did eventually get it done. We got it across the finish line, but they pissed me off at the same time. So I'm not a happy customer. I am not a customer that would leave a positive review. I would leave a very negative review. I'm not going to leave a review, but I would leave a negative one because of the experience in pushing me across the finish line.
And by now you've already told like 10 plus people about this. Now it's
on the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they've made an angry customer.
Yeah, I would never. I don't advocate. I don't teach this, and I'll break down like what I would do. I'm just kind of laughing because we've all had this experience, and it's a great example of what not to do. Right now, I also was wondering if he was a salesperson or someone who owned their own company, because you'll find that people who own their own company like that. That never happen. Like it's just like we're different when it comes to how we sell. This gentleman, probably, incentivized on like signing you up or whatever.
Yep.
So no, I would, it sounds like he is missing some, like in this case, he's missing some interpersonal communication skills. Like there's something that wasn't translating right now. For my clients, the clients that we work with, and it's like you got to dial it back. But here's the thing though, but you don't want to dial it back so much that the sale just kind of floats away.
Correct.
So when you're in a conversation with somebody and, especially if it's a big ticket or, it's like if you and I are on a call, whether it's the phone or Zoom, okay, before we finish this call, Trevor, I want one of three things to happen. First, either I get a clear yes, and I know in my heart of hearts that Trevor is one of our ideal clients and he's a great fit for our community. Because for us, that's really important. You have to be coachable. You got to be a great fit for the community, like clear yes. And that we know pretty quickly. And it's like, here's the next step. Okay. But we're going to establish the next step before we complete this call. And then Trevor, we're also going to have another call on the calendar to take like whatever it is the next step for you. Like it's already going to be solidified. So that's one of the scenarios. Scenario 2 is a clear no. Like Trevor, for whatever reason, it's just not a good fit. We're not Trevor's coach. But I do know other people where Trevor might be a really great fit, or a lot of times we get clients maybe who are a little new in the world and they need to go do some other work. And so second is not a fit, but I'm going to refer you. But I got a clear no. Like I know not a fit right now. Okay. And here's the third one. This third scenario is what loses, I would say, trillions upon trillions of dollars every single year in our world today. And that is this.
Oh, I think you froze there for a minute. Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear it.
Okay, sorry.
The third one. Sorry.
The third scenario, and this is where we lose trillions of dollars every year, is we're not sure. So you're not a no, but you're not quite a yes. Now, maybe you say I need to talk to a business partner or a spouse. So maybe I missed asking about that on the front end of the sales conversation. Like who else is going to make this decision with you, right? Missed that. That's okay. But this is where I'm going to say, Trevor, we're going to map out whatever you need to do to make the decision. And then before this call is over, you and I are going to put another time on the calendar. Now, people, this is where fear can come up. This is where I'm going to be perceived as being too pushy. And what I want you to get is, no, this is where you're serving the client. If Trevor's really my ideal client, Trevor's going to be like, yeah, let's get another appointment on schedule. Need to talk to my business partner, or the business partner is going to come on a call with us. Like, we're creating a clear next step. Your ideal client wants that. That step gets missed all the time. And it's not pushy. It is professional to get it booked.
Okay. So I love this. Okay. So let me ask you this question. Is this something that what you just told me, you're telling the client up front, hey, at the end of this call, we're going to have one of these three things, right? We're going to, like, you're letting them know, and that way at the end of the call, you can figure out which direction we're going. Hey, are we moving forward? Is this a clear no, or is this a maybe? And you just need more information and the process of what, like, so you're setting that up in the beginning.
Yes. And I would
love
say,
it.
I mean, I'm not always we're not perfectly, like, it's more conversational when we're talking about it. Like, I want to know, Trevor, if we can serve you today. If we can, we're going to talk about next steps. If we can't, we probably have other places that can assist you as well. And we're going to make sure you're taken care of. It's all about taking care of that person in front of you. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I love that. I've also used something too, and let me know your thoughts on this. I also tell clients that I have a no ghosting policy. And I let them know, like, hey, listen, you don't like to be ghosted. We don't like to be ghosted. And so at any point, at any time during the process, if you feel like it's not the best fit, if we're just not, right for each other, we're not aligned, and that's totally okay. Just let us know, right? And I promise you're not going to hurt our feelings. We won't get offended or anything like that. Like, we're professionals. So you can totally feel free to let us know. At the same token, though, on the other side of the coin, if you are like, hey, this is great. I love this. This sounds perfect. I want to move forward. Just let us know so that we can allocate our time appropriately and make sure that we're not, wasting time in any areas that we don't need to be. Yeah. Right. So, but one thing that we do set is the no ghosting policy. Like, we don't want to, it's just kind of a professional courtesy. We don't want to have to, chase anybody down or anything like that. Yeah. Like, cause I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that freaking blew me up 25 times. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? So what are your thoughts on that language? I mean, and listen, if you think it sucks, you can tell me. Or if you would tweak it, tell me.
No, like no. The most important thing any of us can do in the sales process is be authentic. And that's very authentic. That is something you would say, right? That's very authentic to you. Also, what's really powerful about it, and all of us that are listening were like, oh yeah, when you said that, like, it's kind of like the ultimate takeaway. Like, early on, you're taking it away from me. Really, Trevor? You're like, it's not a fit. I'm like, well, I don't even know if it's a fit. Are you telling me I'm not a fit? Right? What's not a fit here? So subconsciously, I mean, it's a powerful statement, because I feel like now I'm listening. Now I'm listening to Trevor. I want to know if this is a fit for me or not. So I think it's really powerful. And I think it's authentic to you. No ghosting policy. I like it.
Yeah, no ghosting. I deal with a lot of job seekers, they're going through career transitions, so they get ghosted by employers. And so I'm like, hey, listen, you don't like being ghosted. You know what it's like. So we are applying for the job here. Okay. And I just have to set a no ghosting policy. Okay. If we're not a fit, it's totally okay to let us know that. We're professional. We can handle it. At the same time, if you love what you hear, you think we're a great fit, you think it's exactly what you need, tell us.
Yeah.
Right. So just let us know how you're feeling, and we will we'll act accordingly. How about that? You know what I'm saying?
Take this policy to everywhere. Like, this would be great in relationships, like people who are dating. They should just have a no ghosting.
No ghosting.
Just tell me the truth. Or friendships, right? Don't, like, I mean, I'm in that stage of life where I'm like, my child's in a lot of different things, and so I meet people all the time. So it's like this, like, I feel like I'm back in high school. It's like, am I friends? Or are we not? Like, don't ghost me. I like it. I think
right. Isn't it good? Like, just tell me, so we don't have to spin our wheels. Like, no one wants to chase anybody down. Like, that sales guy, he didn't want to chase me down either. Okay. And the reason why he was having to blow me up so many times was because he was blowing me up so many times. The fact, when I get, okay, here's what happens to me. I'll give you an example. I was shopping for my my homeowner's insurance. My homeowner's insurance has just been going sky high. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Come on, I need to get some better rates. So I put in an inquiry right online, that's the first mistake. Don't ever do that.
Don't ever do that.
That's the first mistake.
Your phone number, yeah. Don't
it,
people.
And you get just blown up, right? You get blown up. And it immediately turns me off. Like now I don't want to, I don't want to answer the phone. I've stopped shopping. I'm like, I don't even want to shop for this anymore. I will pay the higher rate. Yeah. you are blowing me up. The emails, the phone calls, the text messages, and it's just from all angles. And it's like, okay, you turned me off. And so that's what that guy was doing. It turned me off because it was so much that I'm like, dude, I'll get to you when I get to you.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. I want to do it. Can we talk about that though?
Yeah.
Something else. Because, all right. So I didn't finish telling my story and this ties in.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Squirrel.
No, I get it. So after Colorado Springs, I went on, they moved me to Irvine, California. And I ended up eventually at 27, I was president of a $20 million company. Again, I share this because if I can do this, like anybody can do it. You just figure it out. You figure it out, right? My point is though, I inherited 5 salespeople. Okay. And I met with all of them right when I got there, and I was like a kid. Some of them were like, way older than I was at the time. And this one woman comes in, she sits down. I'll never forget her, a million years. She sits down, dressed to the nines, like, she's like, I'm the top sales rep here. And I was like, I already know, I saw the numbers, and I'm excited to work with you. And she's like, listen, like in my face, across the desk. Listen. She's like, I'm giving you 2 weeks. Ooh. And either we can work together or we can't. Either you can make it so I continue to be successful as a sales. Like it was all like she wanted to make money, right? And I sat at the other side of the table and I was smiling inside and I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be my favorite. Like this is my favorite salesperson, because in sales might be a little different than in entrepreneurship and business. Like if you're owning the business, but in sales, you want someone who's going to drive and get the deal done. What I can say about this woman is that she's in the top 10% of salespeople probably in the world, probably in the top 1%. And the thing that I loved about her is she would call you, Trevor. So Trevor, if you said to her, I need I need IT training, because that's what we sold, IT training. Because if she got if you said that you need it, she is going to call you until you get on the phone with her. Like she would call back in the day, like they would have to go find the person because we didn't have cell phones yet. So she'd be like, go walk the floor and find him and get him on the phone because he said he wanted training. Okay. Her clients loved her. Why? Because she got the deals done. She got the best trainers in the industry. She delivered. And I say this with you because for most of us, there's a fine balance. But statistically, and this is what I was getting at, and I want to make sure everyone hears this, most sales are closed after the 5th follow-up. And that's where you have to find the balance in following up and not being like, am I being pushy? Like, so I even have some of my clients count. It's like, well, how many times have you followed up? I worked with a sales team one time. This was during the Great Recession in California. They sold high-end garage doors. So like $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 garage doors. Okay. So I meet with their CEO and he's like, listen, we're not closing enough. It's the recession, but people are still in that, financial category. People were still buying expensive garage doors, at least expensive to me at the time. So he's like, I need you to, just shift some things in my team. So I sat the team down and I asked them, I said, how many times do you follow up, right? How many times do you follow up with a prospect? Guess what their answers were? Just throw it out.
Let's say 3.
3, exactly. And I would guess that's what most people do statistically, if that, right?
If that.
50% of us, check this out, give up after the first follow-up. Now, Trevor, what that tells us is that everybody who's listening, including some of our job seekers, you have gold in your inbox. And like for those you haven't followed up with more than 3 times, if they haven't given you a no, it's still a plausible sale. Don't believe that just because they haven't called you back with their credit card ready to go, that they don't want to buy from you. right? We want salespeople to want us. We want salespeople to perform for us. I mean, at least I know if I meet with Trevor, if I met with you and you never followed up with me, I wouldn't buy from you.
Right. Because it actually breaks trust. The money is in the follow-up, 100%. I agree. And this is where I'm trying to establish. So there's something that I use in my business and in actually what I teach the job seekers even. And it is a strategy where you're sending in a video message via email or via text or in a DM, but they're a little short. They're like a voicemail. So if I was going to call you and leave you a voicemail, right? Because typically you're not going to get them most of the time they're not going to answer the phone anyways, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to leave a voicemail. So what's your voicemail say? Let's say I do call you. Hey, Ursula, just checking in with you. I just wanted to let you know I sent you an email. It's got a quick video in there with some additional information. There's my link to my calendars in there so you can book and get on the calendar, right? So basically there's a call to action inside of it as well. But what I'm going to do is then on my video, I'm going to literally write your name down, okay, on this little whiteboard, okay, like this. I'm going to make it personalized to you, okay? And so I have this little whiteboard, and I send this little video in with your name on it. And literally, they can't help but press play. Now you've traveled time and space. You're in their office or wherever they're at, whenever they're ready to press play. And you've got 30, 45 seconds to kind of hook them in to your call to action. And I just find it's very, very effective. It humanizes the process, because there's another thing that I think is wrong. And I do this myself. I have to catch myself. Whenever I'm dealing with customer service or somebody over the phone, somebody I haven't necessarily seen, right?
Yeah.
There's a dehumanization that happens there. And I wouldn't people will talk to you differently, the way they handle situations differently than if they were in person, right?
Totally.
Like if I was standing right in front of them, I would talk to that person differently versus somebody on a 1-800 number who I don't know who they are, and they're not handling my situation right, and I have to go through all the, you see what I'm saying? Like I'm going to talk to that person a little bit differently. Now I shouldn't, but it's just the reality. Does that make sense?
I totally get it. We've all been there. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
There's a lot of assumptions, or even behind a keyboard.
Yeah, that's why the trolls do the troll thing, right? Behind the keyboard, right? Mm-hmm. So, but by putting that little video in the process of your follow-up, again, it just humanizes things a little bit. And you get those cues, the body language, all that stuff that you're not able to really translate as well over the phone. The nonverbal cues, right? The nonverbal cues. So anyways, those things kind of help. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you teach any of that kind of stuff in your processes?
I mean, we don't specifically teach video. I love that. I think what we do say is to be authentic in the process, right? Because not everybody loves to be on video, and they might be like, oh, I don't even that would add an extra step, and they wouldn't do it. They just feel like I'm not doing it. Whereas for you, it's super natural, and you're great on camera, so it's easy. What I will say though is anytime you can personalize it. So even the little, holding the name up, for all of us, the more personalized you can make it. Or we love to send snail mail, because not a lot of people do it anymore. I mean, how fun is it when you get a little card in the mail with a little, Starbucks, Caribou, whatever gift card in it, and go have a cup of coffee, however you can connect. I mean, my love language is gifts. And so we practice that in my company, right? Because I want to connect. I want people to know that we care whether or not they work with us. So I think to your point, for those who like to be on video, do it. That's another way. What you did too, that was genius. And this is also what I see get missed a lot, is you connected the email to the phone call.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And sometimes people are just pounding the phone. Sometimes people are just pounding email. You've got to put them both together. Now, I want to give you one more tip that we've used in our sales scripts that really, when it comes to voicemails, because people think our voicemails worthless. No, you need to be intentional like you were. Just be really clear with people in a short, concise way. So if I really want someone to call me back, which sometimes we do, right? And, we haven't heard from them, or it's about taking the next step or whatever. I would do a quick email or quick voicemail, like who I am, remind them like why I'm calling, right? And what the next step is. And then I would give my number, and this sounds interesting, but it works. I'd give my number twice slowly so that, because there's nothing more annoying than someone ripping off their number. You can't hear it. Twice slowly. And then you say this, Trevor, I'll be in the office between 2 and 6 today to take your call. I look forward to hearing from you then. And then hang up. Now, some of us are talkers and we're like, la, 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 it's so great. I can't wait to talk. No, just say those last two things and hang up the phone. What's interesting, I did this, we used to do this live in classes and people would practice. I had a client come up to me and she was so mad. She like stomped up to me and she's like, it didn't work. And I was like, what? And she said, they called me back right away.
It did work, you dummy.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, when you've been in the you laugh at stuff. So
no, that's awesome.
Whether it's, and it's really professional too for job seekers. Like if someone's called you and they want to have an interview, you could call them back and leave that message and tell them when you're available. Just, it gives that added level of,
it's like an assumptive, it's almost like an assumptive close, right?
I see the next step. I see us working together. Here's the next step. And it's also you leading and directing the conversation and having, like, we want salespeople, business owners to be the directors. I want you to tell me what to do next. You're the professional. Tell me the next step.
Let's go. Okay. All right. Here's another question I have for you. And I'm just thinking of another member on my team who wants to tell you how the watch works. Okay. And I'm the guy that wants to tell you what time it is. Okay. And have you ever known anybody to talk themselves right out of a sale, or what we used to call back in the auto industry, we used to call them lay down. So you get somebody that's ready to buy, they're walking in, they're ready to take this thing home. They call them lay downs, right? So, and they would always say, hey, you can talk yourself right out of a lay down. Like, have you ever met somebody that talks too much? And what advice would you help? What would you do? How would you coach someone like that to kind of like, yo, like, you know, they don't need to know how the hamburger's made. Yeah. They just need to know it tastes good.
Couple of things. Selling is not telling. And this is what I said before. Like, you could literally ask someone one open-ended, pain-related question. Open-ended meaning you can't say yes or no, and not say another thing for an entire hour. And that person would probably sell themselves right into whatever it is. So I've been in sale, like that in the IT days, we used to sit around a table. So we'd be selling, I'd be co-selling, right? And I would be kicking people under the table to tell them to, like, the sale's already done. Like I'm
shut up.
Perceptive that the sales are like, they're ready to buy.
Yep.
I've worked with salespeople a lot and business owners, and like, you're talking, like, just
shut up.
At the end, don't say anything. Let the person talk, because they'll tell you one or two things, right, Trevor? They'll either be like, okay, what's the next step? And then, you know, okay, they're ready to go. Or they have an objection, but they cannot verbalize it, or they cannot even think of it if you're still talking.
Oh.
And I can say this because I've totally been there. Back in the beginning, I thought selling was explaining. It was like convincing people. It's none of those things. The best training I ever had was as a marriage and family therapist. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, just because I couldn't get one in coaching at the time. So, and you know what I learned how to do even better is listen. And in our society today, we don't listen. We're so distracted, Trevor. We're not listening. We're thinking about the next darn thing we want to say. And it's like just, if you are serving people in this time in the world simply by listening to them. And that means that they might share some deep stuff with you.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe there's not another person that they can even tell right now, but that, like, and you're not doing that to be manipulative. I don't know if they're going to be your client, but man, if we could be a society of business owners and sales professionals who just really listen to each other, it would be such a different world, because then I would know if I could help you, or if I could help you by referring you to Trevor. Like, I don't know. How can I help you?
Active listening.
Don't listen.
You know, active listening, and then making sure that you, you know, kind of recap what they were talking about, right? like saying, okay, so if I hear you correctly, Ursula, what you said was X, Y, and Z. These are the things that are important to you. And if we can help you to accomplish those things, right? Like
Yeah.
helping them to visualize that, hey, yes, you are really listening to their wants, needs, and desires. Speak that into it and just kind of recap that. But if you just, man, so I go, how do you help someone like that? Because listen, this person I'm talking about right now, I've been trying. I just don't know if it's in him. Like, what would you do? Because you're the NLP. You help to break it down. I need to know, how do I help this person? Because they just talk a lot.
Yeah, he's got to want it more than you do,
and he wants to say everything he knows.
He's got to want to grow. Is he a business person or a salesperson?
He's a business person. He's in the sales role. And again, I think, like I said, he wants to, it could come from an insecurity, in my opinion. I think it could very well come from an insecurity of, again, that I'm not enough. So I got to tell him everything I know. I got to prove how smart I am. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Matter of fact, no one cares how smart you are. They care that you care about them and getting their goals accomplished. That's all they care about. They care about what they want to have happen. They don't care about how smart you are.
Yeah. I mean, okay, a couple things. So number one, I'm guessing you're already doing this, but can you role play? Role play is a great way to learn. I'm sure you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, I don't know, like, can you shadow when he's with someone and like have a sign? I've done that where I have a sign with somebody where they need to stop talking and just be like, even if it's not like, you could do, let me say this. You could not follow any script, not say any of the right things that you were supposed to say, quote unquote, right? And then just ask someone, go back to an open-ended question, ask, and then not say anything and just open up the space again. So I think sometimes there's so much pressure, like, I'm going to say the wrong thing. You really can't mess it up. You can't. I mean, you could if you really tried, but most of the time, most people can't mess it up. If you feel lost, like I'm talking too much, then you want to go to a question. So maybe that would be helpful for him. So like, when you're like going down that path, shift it. And I recommend having the questions, like have the open-ended questions in front of him, so he knows what to say, and then take notes. But really, and I would role play that. Ultimately, though, then Trevor, like something else has to motivate him to change. Like what does he want? Like, is it to hit a certain sales goal? Like, what's the motivation so that he's willing to make the change? Because in the world of psychology, like what's going to make us change? Like we have to be motivated to change, or we won't do it.
Yeah, I think it's the motivation for him is time. He's got 3 boys, so he wants more time with the boys. So with that said, it could be like, hey, close the deal, man. Let's rock and roll, and you get some extra time. I don't know. Maybe that's the motivation, and rewarding or penalizing. Yo, bro, check it out. If you don't close this deal, you got to come in on Saturday. Like, oh, hell no, I don't want to come in on Saturday. You know what I mean? So I'm going to close that deal. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Sometimes pain.
For people this was before we were as politically correct as we are today. So let me just paraphrase that. Like I've been around for a minute, but back in the day, like if someone didn't do the activity they need to do that week, and this was a sales team, they ultimately had to send a check to the opposite political party that they supported.
Oh, snap. That'll do it.
Everybody that'll do motivated. It. So sometimes pain is motivating, and sometimes it's, reward. So it kind of depends on the person. I'm mostly motivated by rewards versus pain. My husband totally like pain. Like he's a last minute guy. It's like the pain of it is what gets him to it. And that was my college roommate too. Me, it's all about what am I creating? What am I like? I got to be focused on the reward. So everybody's a little different. I would ask him about that.
That's really good. You got to donate to the opposite.
Don't quote me, but
that's good. Cause that goes towards like, when you think about values, right? They're like, I do not want to do that. That's really good. I'm gonna use that and see if it works. I don't know if it'll work or not, but he's he's a veteran, okay? And he's got some beliefs, and I think that could very well do it. I'm gonna say, hey, listen, man, that's really good. I like that. I never would have thought that in a million years.
I don't even know how we came up with that. I want to say one other thing too. So when it comes to change, and this is for everybody, like when there's a hack to change. I think this was Charles Duhigg wrote a book called The Power of Habit, which is one of my favorite books about changing habits, right? Because we're all just habits. Everything you do, you're just a result of the habits that you do every single day. And you forget that these are habits. So we get into habits in our sales process. We all do this. A lot of clients want to make more sales calls when they show up in my world. They want to make more sales calls because they know, like, we run the numbers. If I did my sales calls, what would happen? Most people think they're going to do them in the afternoon. They never do them. If anyone tells me they're going to do their sales calls in the afternoon, I'm like, I don't believe you. So our goal was to help our team members or business owners make their calls first thing in the morning. Brian Tracy talks about this, eat your frog, do it first, right? How though? How do you train your brain to do it? So I took Charles Duhigg's work and I was like, all right, he said you can change a habit in 3 days, not 21, not 14, like everybody says, 3 days, if you hook a habit to an existing habit. You follow me? Okay. So what do most of us do when we come into the office? What's the first thing that we typically do?
Get coffee.
Yeah. Get coffee, right?
Yep.
And then what do we do next, Trevor?
Then we log into the computer.
Oh, and then what do we do next?
Check the emails.
Oh, yeah. And then what happens?
And then you get sucked into the rabbit hole of the emails.
Do you finish making your sales calls after you look at your emails?
Heck no.
No. So here's what we do. And believe it or not, this actually worked. I was like, go Charles Duhigg. So you walk in, you have your cup of coffee. This becomes the signal, the cue, we call it.
Okay.
Pick up the phone and make your calls. Now, this involves preparation. You must have your
list.
I don't want you opening this computer thing because that's what some people are like, oh, but I have to look in my CRM. I'm just warning you. You're so trained to open this CRM thing and then look at your email. It'll ruin it for you. The night before, you've printed out 25 names with phone numbers. You're going to pick up the phone and you're going to make calls. Now, whatever the goal is, maybe like for me, it was always 2 appointments, right? You're going to make the calls. You've hooked it to this habit. Now you're making your calls. In 3 days, I had clients who do this, Trevor. In 3 days, their sales started to skyrocket.
Okay, I love this. Seriously, I love this. Gosh, it's the little things that make all the difference. Okay, so I'm actually going to implement this, but I'm gonna ask you a question and see if I can get your blessing on it or not. Okay, because I am one of those that I do like the CRM, so I can have my notes. Because I have so many people I don't even remember who I'm talking to be honest with you. So I'm gonna call you with knowing like I don't even know what I'm gonna say. So for me to have that CRM, but to your point, I know it's a trap. Get in the computer, now you're in the email, now you're on the other stuff, right? So the question I have is, I was just thinking of a solution in my head. For me, I have my email pinned on my computer. I'm going to unpin that sucker. So I have to be intentional about going into the email. Right now it's pinned. I can see it right now. I could go in there, bing, pull it up. What if I just unpin that sucker? And that means I literally have to go be intentional about opening it. Yeah. Do you think that would help? Or do you think that would still, I would find a way to not make the phone calls?
Here's the thing.
You're like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I just know that we're so programmed to do certain things that it might be tough. Here's my question for you. Can you access your CRM from your phone?
Yeah, I can, but it will not be the same.
Yeah.
Like it won't.
So
no.
What would happen though? What do you use? What's your CRM?
Salesforce.
So Salesforce is awesome, right? So, I mean, it would be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but this could become a new habit. Like Salesforce lets you print them out. And it should let you print the notes out too.
Yeah.
You'd have to be a little more intentional. And I get that this, like, there should be Salesforce, you should be able to run a report that has enough notes in there that you can see like what the heck you talked about a month ago or whenever you talked to them last, right? And what's next for them. I don't know. Like
No, it's good. I'm going to be thinking about this conversation and figuring out a solution for this so I can train my team on this so that we swallow the frog, right? Eat the frog first thing in the morning, because you're absolutely right. And if we can just simply connect that with, hey, I'm going to grab my cup of coffee. I'm going to get this thing done. And by the time I'm done with my coffee, I'm done with my calls. Okay. And now the rest of the day is gravy. You know what I mean?
And not only that, but so then just with the activity, you want to make sure they're focused on how many appointments they're going to get. There's something really powerful. I don't know like how they're calling or whatever it is that the intention is, because if you can gamify it, we love to gamify things. If you can gamify it, so yeah, maybe I printed out 25, but I already closed 4 sales in the first 30 minutes. Like just like what is it tied to? I would really look at that, because you want to reverse engineer it. So we're super motivated, because maybe I don't make even 25 calls a day. Maybe I make 6. I had a woman one time, she's like, Ursula, is this good? She goes, I make, for every 6 calls I make, I get 4 appointments. Is that good?
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, and another thing too that I was teaching my team recently is to kind of like prime the pump, get yourself ready for these calls. And one of the ways that I do this personally is by sending out to people that I love and care about, sending out a voice memo. Like, you know how on your phone, like in a text message, you can send out a voicemail memo, and like just telling them, you know, how much I appreciate them. Like simply like, hey, like my assistant, I did one the other day, just reached out to her, sent her a little voice memo. And I was like, hey, Hope, just wanted to let you know how much I stink and love you. I appreciate you so much and all the work that you do for us. And, you know, I can't wait to hug your neck soon and da-da-da-da-da. And I just like, no reason to reach back out. I just wanted to tell you I love you, appreciate you. Boom. And I send out a message. And the cool thing about doing that is that it lifts you up. It actually fills your cup. Like you feel like, man, you know, it feels good to you when you give like that. It feels good.
Yeah.
And for them, they feel good and appreciated and loved. And like, how often do you get messages like that from people? You just don't. And so when you get that, it hits them, and it's this compounding effect of gratitude and all of those good emotions and feelings. It just feels good before you go pound out those phone calls.
Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, whatever it is, we use voice memo a lot too. And some people love it. My husband, it's not his favorite thing. He's like, can you just text me? I'm like, but it's just easier. But I do that with my team too. It's a great way. It's a great way to like, you know, build that energy, whether it's that, whether it's music, like sometimes for me, because music does, you know, you get some dopamine hits from that, like whatever it is, just to bring your energy up. I sound like I've had a lot of coffee today, but I was at the gym really early today, and that
me too.
Yeah, right. Like that's what gets me ready for my day, centered, focused. So like find your thing. I want to hear what happens with your sales team. I really do, because I think I'm super excited that you're going to try this.
I love this, and I'm not kidding. I could have this conversation all day long. I do want to make sure we highlight a couple things for you. I know you have a download, okay, for the audience that they can grab. And I'm going to put the link in the show notes for those listening to the podcast. But this is a download, a multi-6 and 7-figure scaling roadmap, 7 simple steps to break through now. Can you tell us just a little bit about it, and then where they can get it? I will put the link in the show notes, but I see it's ursulainc.co/free-guide. Is that correct?
That is correct. ursulainc.co/free-guide. Let's make that super hard so no one can actually write.
1,000%.
So
go to the show notes.
In the show notes. So a lot of people come into our world who have been stuck at 6 figures for a while. And I find that 6 figures is like the hardest 6 figures you'll ever make in your life. Like it's different than corporate America when you made 6 figures, because this is your business. Or I find some people like business owners, we get stuck at 6 figures. We get stuck at like 250. We get stuck at 500, 750, and $1 million. And so a lot of people just are like, I'm stuck at this point. You know, what do I need to do? So this is the work we do with our clients. So I distilled it into 7 simple steps. simple doesn't always mean easy. They're simple, but then we got to do them. Kind of like we got to make the sales calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just breaks it down for the work that we do with our clients to help them 2x, 3x, or even 10x their revenue in a relatively short amount of time. And none of us are taught how to sell. To your point earlier, you have to learn. None of us are taught how to scale our businesses. So I just wanted to make this simple guide for people who are ready to go to the next level.
I absolutely love it. You guys make sure you grab that. And you also, because I was on your podcast, you also have a podcast. I want to make sure that our audience can come connect with you so they can learn more. Tell them about your podcast real quick.
Yeah, thank you. Quantum Revenue Expansion, had Trevor on there, and we talk about just how to grow your business, especially how to grow your business like if you're in a slump, or if you're just you're feeling stuck. And we have conversations with our clients. Some of our clients come on and just share their journey. Some of our clients have been with us like over a decade. They keep getting to the next level and they come back, so they share like tried and true things that have worked for them, and also what to do, really what to do when you want to give up. So our people who listen, it's kind of like, it's just a booster, keep you going, keep you excited about why you're doing this, and remind you why you started your business in the first place.
Absolutely. I freaking stinking love you, Ursula. Seriously, I could talk to you all day. But that's the show, guys.
Thank you.
It's all about
Trevor Houston. I just want to say Trevor Houston from Dallas. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness.
So fun.
Yes, it absolutely is. And hang tight. We're going to go to the audience real quick. But guys, that's the show. It's all about who you know. Bye. All right. So I still got our Clubhouse audience here with us. Okay.